I'm joined from our Canberra studio by Liberal MP Kelly O'Dwyer, the chair of the inquiry that looked into foreign investment in Australian real estate. Kelly O'Dwyer, you would have heard that agent say they're $200 million. That is unbelievable. We've heard a lot of anecdotal evidence that cashed up foreign buyers are pushing Australians out of the property market. But does your investigation actually bear that out?
Well, we've heard a lot of mixed evidence. We've heard evidence, firstly, that foreign investment, Lee, is really beneficial when you're adding to the stock that's available for people to purchase and to rent. And that tends to be with the new apartments, new dwelling stock, homes and units. That's definitely of benefit because it's increasing supply. We've also, though, heard evidence, such as evidence from the Reserve Bank of Australia, that in certain segments of the market, the established homes, where there might be restricted supply and increased competition coming from foreign investors, it can in fact impact price and put price higher up.
And is that happening across the market everywhere, or is it in selected pockets?
It's happening in selected pockets and it's happening in specific parts of the market. So when we talk about the residential property market, it is very different depending on what it is that you're talking about, which is why it is so important for us to have a strong framework in place. And the framework we have now, we think, is appropriate, which is encouraging foreign investment into new dwellings, but having restricted investment for temporary residents where they can only purchase one home and have to sell it within 3 months of leaving, and prohibitions on non-resident foreign investors being able to purchase existing homes.
So how do you make those changes? Do they have to get through this difficult Senate for the Abbott government, or can you simply impose those through regulation?
So that's the current framework as it stands, but in your report, as we heard, these rules are not being properly enforced. We've had no court prosecutions since 2006 and not one divestment order issued by the Foreign Investment Review Board since 2007. So that's during the entire time of the Rudd-Gillard-Rudd government. I think that FIRB has definitely been asleep at the wheel. We have been very critical in our report about the internal processes at FIRB for audit, compliance and enforcement activity, but we have also equally said that FIRB does need to be beefed up and that penalties need to be stiffer and there needs to be more transparency.
So if you do try to improve the efficiency of the Foreign Investment Review Board, is that going to make it easier for Australians to buy a more affordable home?
Well, certainly we think that it is going to be important for Australians to have confidence in the system, and it will stop the illegal purchasing of property. It will make it incredibly difficult because for the very first time we're going to have a civil penalties regime, and we're also going to include third parties who might assist a foreign investor knowingly to try and breach the rules. They're now going to be caught.
Given that housing availability and affordability are really major challenges for many Australians, why doesn't the Abbott government have a housing minister?
Well, look, we have a number of ministers who are very interested in this area. The Treasurer himself would be responsible in part for this area.
It's not the same as a dedicated minister, though, is it?
Yeah, but the truth is, Lee, that it isn't all wrapped up in a bow like that. There are lots of factors that impact housing affordability.
And a minister could draw all of those together.
Well, housing affordability is affected by a lot of things that happen at a local council level and also at a state planning level as well. And we've noted that in our report, that actually adds to the ultimate price of housing for a lot of consumers.